decade of circular motion, thus defined by the octagon table of double-wide mental introspection and dedicated utilitarian outward thinking in defense of zero content. Translation: we ain't got nothing. Oh, hey folks, dude here, yet again, an iteration of Dude After Dark. Of course, we're now minus one beloved kitty. So, yeah, you guys hadn't heard, yeah, we're down Mr. Panther. That kind of really sucks. I mean, he was genuinely one of our really, truly nice kitties. And, yeah, anytime you lose one. And the messed up thing is, it was only like 3 or 4 days difference in terms of a year between losing Orange, one of our guys from the original house when Mrs. Dude and I got together, to the current house. And he was one of the carryovers. He was the last of the carryovers. So that's where we are with that one. And hang on one second here. Let me do something really fast. Let's see. This dude was posting up some pictures. Here we go. That's what I wanted to see. This one. Yeah, this guy right here. All right, let's see here. Let me see if I can't make this one work. Mrs. Dude was posting up pics, and you know, anytime you try to show stuff on a camera phone, it's kind of, it's not an exact science, shall we say, but I'm gonna try to make it work. Okay, so give me 1 second here. Give me my lead, as it were. I know I'm a little belated on the start, so I apologize on that one, but yeah, let's see if we can't just make this one work. So basically, that's got a lot of shine here. Got a panther in the front, Tigger in the middle, and Orange all the way in the back. So that one's kind of, yeah, got a lot of glare on it. For some reason, it's showing a lot of glare. But anyway, that's the three guys right there. I'm getting this weird double image thing. Sorry about that. Anyway, good stuff like that there. So that was our three guys, and unfortunately, they're all gone at this point. I would say gone, but definitely not forgotten. Hang on a second here. Let me unscrew up something. Let's see here. Because I'm trying to do multiple things on multiple devices, and it's kind of being a little squirrely. To pull back the curtain just a little bit here, Mrs. Dude is currently in recovery phase, and I do mean like actual recovery phase. What happened is that she is the owner of a, I guess you could say probably like, you know, one of the mega phones, as it were. Not quite the newest, but she does have the Samsung S24 Ultra. So as big as this one is, which is basically, you know, the Note 9, and it's a phablet, it's actually a skosh bigger. It's heavier. I mean, it's a little bit of a chunk. I don't know if I would say it's too heavy for me per se, but it is definitely a later iteration of their stuff. Okay, let me make sure I'm working here in the chat room. Hopefully I got somebody, or, you know, something is working. Let's see. So we are live 5x5, good stuff like that there. I see, you know, the latency thing where basically I am doing stuff and it is coming up. Martina Sasquatch, you are here. Good stuff like that there. So let's see. It is currently working. Yep. No, I would not ever try a foldable phone. Well, anyway, it's kind of one of those like martial art things where you're basically told on like how to do like nerve strikes, and you know, some things you can actually do to make people like drop things. Like I can actually show you the spot. Like if you go literally like right here on your own hand, and you have like, you know, basically like the ulna, and then you have the radius, and you go around the radius. If you go to like the juncture of like where your arm pretty much starts and your, you know, stops and your hand starts, if you press right there, that's a pressure point. Like literally, it's a really good pressure point. So like if somebody's coming at you and you do like a knife hand strike and they're holding something, potentially you could shock the hand and make them lose whatever it is. Well, Mrs. Dude was holding her, you know, ridiculously over heavy phone, and it came down and went bloop right on that hot spot. Well, inside there is a couple of actual, you know, there's, if you go side by side, there is a nerve, there's an artery, and then there's two tendons. Well, the tendons control, it's one's an extensor, so literally it's what opens your thumb up, and then the other one is a lateral device. So it's what basically moves your thumb from side to side, you know, going one way versus going the other way. So it's kind of like almost thinking like when you look at like, you know, like a construction vehicle and you have like the hydraulic cylinders, you know, there's one hydraulic cylinder that moves it this way. There's another hydraulic cylinder that moves it further, you know, vertically. There's one horizontally. Well, basically what it is on your body, you wouldn't have a hydraulic cylinder on the inside and a hydraulic cylinder on the outside. You have tendons that run to the inside and the outside of all your various fingers and, you know, other joints and what have you. So anyway, side by side, you have these two tendons. Now, obviously, you've heard of like situations where people have something called carpal tunnel. So literally what that is the tendons that run inside your arm in the, you know, in the V in between the two bones. Each tendon has what's called a sheath. So literally it's like kind of like a slick tunnel that gives it like passage to move smooth and freely and what have you. Well, when Mrs. Dude did that traumatic injury, it literally splatted the conduit that those two tendons rolled through and like stuck everything together. So then you're trying to move everything, and then of course it gets very, very irritated because now you don't have a smooth transition for the tendons in which to shift back and forth. You now have this bunched up glob of scar tissue and obviously other things that fix your things in place because that's your body way of fixing things. It's all stuck together, and your body's just going, oh, I don't know what to do here, but I'm trying to fix and do repairs. So anyway, what happened with Mrs. Dude is she had that injury, and it was getting progressively worse. And they're like, okay, well, we can try steroids. They shot it up with prednisone. And that is a 50-50 proposition. Either it fixes it temporarily, because you can only do so many shots. You do 4 shots of prednisone per year. You know, it's just one of those things where if you go too much, it's not good for you. So they say literally steroids are like the best, worst thing you can do to the human body. See me one second. I got tiki juice. Anyway, so in the process of doing the best, worst, it's a Band-Aid. It's not a fix. You're literally trying to address the situation to reduce inflammation and let these things physically function. Anyway, so the situation they're in is they literally have to go in and they have to fix it. So what they do is they do a procedure called a release. So carpal tunnel, literally what they do is they do a small incision. They'll dig down till they get to that area where the carpal tunnel has now been fixtured and it's holding the, you know, the tendon from working freely. And they literally go in there and they put a tool in and they just kind of sculpt a slit on top of the carpal tunnel itself and pop it open so then the tendon can move freely. Well, on Mrs. Dude's, because these two tendons running side by side are now locked and they're trying to do everything all at once and they're creating like mayhem. Literally what they do is they do an incision. They move the nerve, which they got to be very careful to protect. They move the nerve aside. They move an artery aside. Then they have access to the capsule where the two tendons ride. They can take that out and they do the release on that by literally snipping, chewing, cutting out, and doing all the rest of that good stuff to pop it out of place so everything now moves freely yet again on itself. Now, do you really miss having that tunnel in place and the sheathing? No, not really, because the body just goes, okay, fine. I'll squirt in some new additional synovial fluid, which is the same crap that's in your knees, and it'll just squirt some more of that in there, and it acts like lubricant for allow everything to move smoothly. Now, the other thing, too, is also there's a situation where it's been doing it for too long, and it literally wears a groove into the bone. And then your body's going, okay, these things are not tracking right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to grow a ridge to make sure that these two don't rub on each other too much. I'm going to try to keep them separated. Now, I actually did talk to the surgeon after the procedure. Mrs. Dude is really loggy because obviously they give her twilight medication because they don't want to start hacking and chopping on people while, you know, they're just working on things and sound guy. No, it's not caca, okay? That is not how the procedure works, okay? No. So anyway, they do the procedure. Sound guy. Sound guy. No. 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 That was not the surgical procedure. Let's see. Looking in the room. Curious Entertainment 2008. Have I ever tried or would I try a foldable phone? Personally, no. Mostly because, and I've done this demonstration many times, but I like having Gorilla Glass with a screen protector. You would not get away, I mean, fingernails too. You would not get away with doing that on a foldable phone because the screens are just too soft. They're not ready. In my personal opinion, they're not quite ready for prime time. Mostly because they're just too fragile. You know, don't get dirt in there. Be very nice to it. Don't take off the factory screen protector. If you take off the factory screen protector, we'll sell you one for $7, and it's like a band-aid to fix the thing. Wait. So Mrs. Dude is now in the healing process. We've just gotten some, high-grade medication for which to take for pain, and we'll move on from there and healing process therein. So basically, she's got to have ice on it. There's a pressure bandage she has to wear for 5 days because they don't want things to get all swollen and inflamed, and you just got to be really careful about stuff like that. And then she'll go back to the doctor after 2 weeks. He'll put an eyeball on it and say, okay, move around. How's it feel? Da-da-da. Oh, it's still sore. Yeah, it's going to be sore. Stuff that you could expect to, anytime you have a procedure done and when you have a release done on any tendon attitude type thing. I'm kind of really lucky in that regard. I have really good tendons and everything along those lines. And I really haven't done traumatic injuries to tendons. I've always, broken bones. I've never broken tendons. Actually, though, in my left knee, I've done some really not nice stuff to it, but it is what it is. Wear and tear. When you're closing in on more than the twilight of our existence, shall we say? Anyway, so good stuff. I like that one. So Mrs. Dude is now in healing process and moving out smartly, and thusly we will have the procedure in done status. And it was one of those things where literally just had to get it done. So Mrs. Dude has been seeing the doctors a little bit. First time around, she had a cataract that literally was just done. I mean, she literally could not see anything except for maybe like day and night. That was literally about it. There was like very, very little vision. So popped out the balloon lens, put in an artificial lens. She now basically can read and see pretty decent. But, obviously does need glasses for really, really close up and obviously needs glasses for distance. That's how it is. Unfortunately for me, I have gone and I've shifted the other way. I started with 2100 vision, so I was really like, anything more than about a spitting distance away was pretty much just blurry. Now, what happened to me is as you age, your lenses harden and your eyes kind of change shape a bit. So by changing that focal distance, literally the distance between the lens and the back of your eye or the actual shape of the lens itself, I'm now tracking 2025. Not quite 2020, but 2025. So legally, I now can drive without glasses. However, I still do drive with glasses at night because I want to get that last 10%. Daytime, I could cheat with sunglasses because, just trying to knock down the light level. But for reading, yeah, small font is not my friend. Like looking on the phone in front of me, there is basically almost like if you would say like subtitles. Okay, so you have like obviously like the whiz bang little buttons and whatnot that you're running your broadcast on YouTube for, and underneath there is some small script showing chat room statements. I can kind of read it. It's not the sharpest, but I can kind of read it. Actually, looking off to my right, where I'm looking at the old new laptop, much, much easier because I'm actually looking at something from a distance. Reading books, if I'm really close up and personal trying to read a book, yeah, I need the reader glasses. If I'm trying to look to really, really small detail, yeah, I'm going to need like the magnifying glasses. And the dirty little secret is I can actually still I can cheat with the phone. You do the camera thing where you basically like, you look at it through the camera and you can pinch and pull to like zoom and magnify and actually look at the small font. Small font is kind of my enemy at this point, but I'm moving on. So anyway, good stuff like that there. So jumping into the room, as it were, I got a lot of stuff. Too many memes and way too much news of which to regale you guys with. But let's just take a crack at it. I'm not going to just spend too much time on each entry. Anyway, so obviously, Mondami's election taking place in New York, the Pennsylvania election taking place, the Virginia election taking place. The Democrats really, really, really are seriously hardcore trying to maintain the status quo and keep their guys in power. And there's also the whole kerfuffle about like the lower offices. Where are they going to fall? Are they going to stay Democrat? Or are they going to shift red? Or the state's going to shift red? Is this a precursor to maybe like like a latter candidate after Trump leaves office? Is this a pushback on Trump being too fired to the hilt to get things to have happen, trying to address too many things at once? And the thing about it is also the Democrats right now are doing major damage control, trying to say that, well, everything that Trump is doing is just entirely too much, and it is just... Okay, no, sound guy, no. Sound guy, no, it's not caca. It's not. It's not caca. It definitely wasn't the laser blast either, okay? So, anyway, it was... Stop. That's gross, man. Stop. Sound guy, stop. Anyway, it's now come out to be an anything could happen type of thing. I mean, when you start looking at like, of course, the government shutdown, which is really not fun for us because, Mrs. Dude actually is a federal employee and she is currently furloughed, but she falls under a certain aspect where it's like, if you're a certain office position, you don't come in. And then there's secondary positions where you're essential. You got to come in no matter what. Air traffic controllers, that type of stuff, what have you. It keeps doing that. This mouse is being weird. Anyway, so way, shape, and form, we should find ourselves. Those two extremes. Either you don't come in or you are required to come in. Military, those kind of guys, they're basically essential personnel. Well, she falls under a certain exception where she has to come in, but here's the weird part. She's basically a contract manager, and so the contracts that have previously been budgeted and paid for, she's currently working on. However, there's that weird crossover point where it's like, okay, we now basically have this budgetary item that you are paid for, and you have to now administrate. But here's the problem. The guys that are the contractors that she's the contractor manager for, they're now going, okay, when do we run out of money? How many guys can we have on this job? This job that we're currently working on, is this going to carry over to the next CR, the next continuing resolution? Is this going to continue on to the next, potentially, if they ever vote for one, budget? Is this something that we can count on is going to continue on, or do we now need to pause? All this stuff is up in the air, and she's now just like, So she's now trying to put out fires of which there may be no water. Excuse me 1 second here. But she falls into that position. She still has to pay the tolls. She still has to spend the gas money. She still has to buy the lunches. All those things are currently exporting funds. Obviously, bills and whatnot. There is a 90-day hold on our mortgage, so good in that regard. However, there's some other stuff that's being... Excuse me, this mouse is being strange again. There's some other stuff that's kind of, like, we got to pay these bills. Like, obviously, car insurance, electric power, all these things. Phone bill, I pay the phone bill. But, certain items that come into play, car notes, you got to pay these bills. Well, I'm the only one that's currently, quote-unquote, earning right now. And for me to try to pay all the bills, oh my stars and garters, I would have to work so many hours. It would be bloody damn insane. And going back to the first part of the podcast, Mrs. Dude is now sore pawed, so she's now kind of like taking a day or two out of work. More fun to be had. I really don't want to get into the politics of New York City other than to say that Mondami dude, you are not the guy. And that's just putting it plainly. You are not the guy. Excuse me 1 second here. The idea of putting him into a position where New York City already got hit in the past, 9/11, one of the most insensitive things that dude could ever possibly do, he did. And he was giving public statements in Arabic. Why? Why? No, no, we're not an Arab speaking nation, dude. Not cool. Really, truly not cool. Scrolly. Um, this one I thought was really kind of cool. You know, you basically have the new um, person elected to run Japan, and she's pretty cool, man. She's got a interesting little vibe to her. She likes heavy metal. She's played drums in heavy metal bands. She still owns the 1991 Supra that she bought new. So she still has the classic hot rod from Toyota, man. That's cool. So anyway, Trump coming back from his trip to Japan. Japan is now investing $500 billion, or half a trillion, into United States. That's cool. And that's kind of one of those far-reaching things, too, because the Japanese really, truly have good business sense, and they're going, you know, this is actually a good investment. We should do this. If nothing else, a lot of regulations in the United States. Hopefully, you know, we can get like a, okay, that's gone. All right, well, we'll just make it happen. $10 billion Toyota is investing in American car plants. That's cool. Rare earth minerals for cars and fighter jets are going to be, you know, assisted along those lines by Japan. Cherry trees and fireworks for the 4th of July. I literally have thanked native Japanese for the cherry trees that are currently around in Washington, D.C. I cannot do it justice. If you ever truly can see the cherry blossoms around the reflecting pool and in Washington, D.C., it's pretty. It's just a very, very nice scene. Of course, you know, they're like, okay, Trump is really fixing a lot of fires here. He really should probably get the Nobel Peace Prize. They nominated him for that as well. I'm sure the Democrats aren't really happy about that one at all. But I think Japan's looking long view, and they're investing in the United States, and it's always served them well in the past. So Sanae Takaichi is just a smart woman, and to avail her nation of good business is just good business. I think it's just, you know, something that's going to work very well for both nations. I mean, it's just no other way to say it. Scrolly. I'm not going to go back and forth about this whole pissing match that's going on in Congress and Senate right now. We all know the story, okay? It's getting drug out right now, and it's just like, you know, like I've seen them say, it's pure political theater, and Chuck Humor could fix the thing quick, but he doesn't want to. Scrolly. The whole sombrero thing is absolutely still hilarious. I mean, they did it may have been an AI generated video, but Trump was like hanging sombreros on like, you know, the leading guys in the DNC. They were losing their stuff. It was absolutely hilarious. Scrolly. I cannot do this justice except for simply to say my personal opinion on this one. This is a moron who cannot read the room or know their own personal limitations. Surely their arrogance will be of their own undoing. Jasmine Crockett, man, she is just a font of just unbelievably good stuff. Shall we say, Jasmine Crockett says Republicans feel, quote unquote, threatened by her and AOC's intelligence and their political prowess. No, I'm sorry. No, that's just not the game at all, okay? It's just, yeah, it's flatline. Really just, yeah. Guillotine with the heart rate end. Okay, thanks, sound guy. Jeez. Man. Just, yeah, okay, well. They're doing it to themselves, folks. It's just right there in public display. Scrolly. I cannot begin to tell you how long in the tooth this one has been and should have been way, way over probably a decade or two ago. Okay, and that's just being genuinely nice. Okay, somebody who stays in office as long as she has. Wow, you're just really truly overstaying it, and you're not doing anything positive at that point. You just don't want to leave. Okay, I mean, right now it is absolutely just unbelievably obvious to everybody your staff is doing the job, okay? So Nancy Pelosi has finally decided that she's not going to run for re-election after 4 decades of running Congress. She's finally decided to bail out, okay? She's 85. So she says that she'll likely retire after Tuesday's election, where her pet project, Proposition 50, redistricting measure to boost Democrat seats, is on the line. Gavin Newsom wants it, but most of the public in California is like, nah, not digging on it, Skibby. Not digging on it. Proposition 50 probably is not going to make it through. So anyway, Pelosi is rolling out. She's banked cash like you don't want to know. She's not broke. She didn't really even, she could personally probably fund her own election process, but politicians never do that. They just want to make as much money as possible and make everybody else pay to get them back in office yet again. That's what they do. So now there's two people that really, truly want to get in there. So Scott Wiener, a state senator with establishment muscle, and Sakat Chuck Robiarty, the progressive tech firebrand once behind AOC's rise. Yeah, whatever. Her San Francisco district could become the next Democrat civil war. Old guard versus insurgent. Pelosi probably won't fade. She'll ascend. Expect her to run the show from the shadows, mentoring Hakeem Jeffries as the first black speaker and reminding everyone who built the empire that he's going to inherit. That's coming in from NBC News. Wow. Let's see. Scrolly. I'm not going to read something from Chuck Schumer because it's just disgustingly annoying because that's just who he is. This person really truly cracks me up. And I had like my own little interlude leading into it, just me being a smartass. So, Miss, how does it feel to be extraordinarily ignorant? What? Exactly. This exchange with a New York City Democrat voter explains everything. It's coming in from Libs of TikTok. And I love this woman on Twitter. She is so absolutely spot on for skewering these guys being what they are. So anyway, this exchange with the New York City Democrat voter explains everything. Woman, quote, I voted for Mom Dami. At Nate Friedman 97, quote, do you feel like socialism could work in New York City? Question mark, end quote. Woman, no, not necessarily. What? Excuse me, did you just do that? Did you just do that? Yeah, you did do that. You just said something ignorant. Wow. Just jeez.
Oh my.
Yeah, I mean, when somebody says something like that, you're just going, were you thinking that through? Oh yeah, I thought really hard and yeah. Yeah, it was just not good. Not good. Wow. Contradictory, might I say? Just a bit. I love this one. This is what SNAP recipients are now saying. And this is just a quote I found online. So it's like, somebody's believe, because they got the blue check mark. I think it might be Twitter. So far, what SNAP recipients are saying, quote, I'm having to use my own cash now to buy food. Okay, as do we all who aren't on Snap. Quote, I couldn't go out this weekend because I had to pay for food. End quote. So essentially, we're furthering your lifestyle of frivolous expenditure because we've now paid for your groceries. Just point of note. Quote, I have to be aware of the cost of items before putting them in the cart. End quote. Welcome to our world. Quote, I'm buying store brands and cutting coupons. End quote. There's a lot of people that are living like that because, oh yeah, they're not blanking rich. They don't have like, unlimited tap resources to just whiz away with a government credit card that hits them every month. No charge. So I said essentially, welcome to our world where we make the not free money from others and government go as far as possible. Snap guys, you really truly need to get a reality check because you can't just piss money away the way that you have on frivolous expenditure. And the scary notation on that one is obviously the liner notes, shall we say, is 1 in 8 Americans receive SNAP benefits. That is absurd. Excuse me. And the other thing, too, is it's completely unregulated as to what they're actually buying. It should be essentially basics, staples, not like, anything that's just completely frivolous. Like you have those guys going on about, well, I eat steak and lobster on Snap all the time. You shouldn't be doing that. Or EBT. You shouldn't be doing that. You should be getting basics, and you should be going, okay, this is not the most fun thing ever. This is keeping me rolling, but I want to do more. Guess what? I think I need to expand and expound upon my own virtues and get a job. Yeah. Scrolly. I got a lot of political stuff I'm trying to avoid here. I got too many memes here. That's part of the problem. Oh, this one I thought was absolutely hilarious. On the side of a building, somebody made this into a meme. So there is a meme of, it's not a very good one either, but there's a meme of Greta Thunberg on the side of a building in San Francisco. So it says, giant mural of Greta Thunberg in San Francisco. Imagine that face watching you poop in the street. The memes I've been seeing about Trump doing the ballroom build on the White House. Oh my stars and garters, these guys are completely losing their cookies. It is hilarious. Like, obviously, the Hillary Clinton one, it's not your house, it's your house, and he's destroying it. And everybody's just like, yeah, and what did your husband do in there, buddy? You want to talk about defiling? You might have defiled it just a little bit. Yeah. Let's see. Scrolly. Supposedly, there is a net approval on Trump. Of course, they keep going on about this. Oh, 62% of the population doesn't like the economy under Trump and this, that, and the other. Okay, I think it's really majorly huge Democrat oversampling. And I tend to think it's also a situation where these guys are also just really positing the questions in a certain way to make it something that it is not. And of course, they're like, well, if Donald Trump did this and the other thing, would you have a problem with it? Oh, yeah, I wouldn't like if he did that. And they make that a factoid question. So it's also the way that you do these polls, how you phrase the questions in these polls, and most especially, how are you propositioning that person before you even express the question? You can definitely do lead-on things, and I've even seen that, like, with polling places. Like, there's a polling thing called Gov USA or Gov something or other, and it's a big polling thing. And I've had polls from them before where it's some really seriously lead-on questions. It's like, you know what? I'm not answering this poll. I'm out. Because you're giving me like two answers of choice, and both of them are really, really partisan. So I'm not even going to be led into that one. And when it comes right down to it, I don't need to answer your poll, okay? So I'm simply just going to bail out because one, I think it's stupid, and two, you're trying to basically make me a patsy to sign on to your way of thinking. So I'm not going to do that, and I bail out. So let's see, scrolly. This one I found very interesting. I keep going on and on about there's the longest filibuster ever. It's been 30 some odd days. You know, you keep going on and on and on about that. This is not the longest filibuster in U.S. history. The longest filibuster in U.S. history was 75 days. Okay, here's the thing. Who was filibustering? Oh, yeah, it was the Democrats when they were trying to block the Civil Rights Act in 1964. Know who's doing these things. It's not the Republicans playing the game. It's the Democrats. Call it what it is. Let's see. Scrolly. One of the memes that really kind of cracked me up was there's a picture of a No Kings rally, and it's a picture of the band Queen with the lead singer like in front of this crowd. And it says, No Kings Rally, October 18, 2025. MSNBC coverage of the No Kings Rally. And I was like, yeah, that wasn't no Kings Rally. That was a Queen rally. Oh, man, that's just too funny. Let's see. Scrolly. Let's see. Oh. I don't think I was more greatly affected by it. I wasn't really hugely affected by it, but obviously, the outage that took place on Amazon, the Amazon website, that's another reason why I run a 1T smartphone and I do not put my stuff on the cloud. I have a 1T smartphone, or where'd that little booger go? That's hiding. But, I have portable drives. I would rather have that information with me, on me, and in my own, air quotes, cloud, as opposed to putting it up someplace else, and I don't know where it is. I would rather know, rather than having somebody else going, oh, look at this great information right here. And then, of course, I get scammed, and somebody takes passwords, and yeah, you don't want any of that. So anyway, was I greatly affected by that outage? Not really. I mean, I went on like one website, and humorously enough, it was a cruise line website. When I was like, oh, okay, I just got this email from the cruise line. Let me see what specials they're offering. Because, Mrs. Dude and I, we take cruises every once in a blue moon. And so I was like, oh, I'm going to go check this out and see what's going on. If something pops up and it looks good, whether it merits me throwing some cash at it. Is it a good timeline? Is it actually a decent cruise? Are the stops okay? And is the actual boat that you're going to be riding on adequate? Because there's a couple places I tend to go on the internet, and obviously, I'm going to go and check out what is the obvious. Oh, we're offering you the cruise at the blah, 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 right on the marvelous so-and-so. And, you find out the boat basically sucks. Well, how would you find out the boat sucks? Well, I'll give you a little insider information. There's obviously forum boards, but one of my favorite lookups is a place called cruisecritic.com. Now, the nice thing about Cruise Critic is you can go, okay, what's the boat like? And then you go, oh, well, here's reviews on the boat. Here's our rating on the boat. And then you could actually read the reviews, not just like all the 5 stars. Oh, it was marvelous. We went on the boat. The food was delicious, and the boat was so nice. The rooms were great. The entertainment, was perfect. This, that, the other thing was just marvelous. We had an amazing time. Yeah, you have all that stuff on board. It does kind of tend to help you in that regard. But then you start reading the reviews, and the guy's like, yeah, I got on board, and the bed was like this, and the shower was like that, and the room was this, that, and the other thing. The staff wasn't helpful. The boat actually is old. It looks tired. The entertainment was weak. You know, you get to hear, like, all the horror stories. And then the other thing, too, is you could also look out the ports of call. So you could say, okay, well, I'm on the boat. Obviously, we're going to go to, these stops. How's each stop? Now, I can tell you, as somebody that's been on, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cruises. So that last one was the sixth cruise for Mrs. Dude, and it was the 5th cruise for me, I believe. Hang on a second, let me see. So 2 here, to Florida. Yeah, that was the 5th cruise for me, the 6th cruise for Mrs. Dude, and you want to know like how the stops are. You go to a place, and the only thing that really this is like the only major detractor on a cruise. Unless it's like one of those ones where they have like multiple days at a port, you really only kind of get a taste of the individual places in which you actually stop at. You're not there very long, and some of them are actually very short. Like there's a stop up in Canada called Port St. John. Well, that's the Bay of Fundy. Some parts of the Bay of Fundy have 57-foot tides. High to low, 57 feet. Well, where we were, it was probably somewhere in the order of about 30, 35 feet. So give me 1 second here. So the boat pulls up to the dock. You get off on deck 4. You come back sometime later, and you better be back in time. The boat has gone up, and you get on deck 1 because the boat jacked up 28 feet. Now, there's jet boats that you used to be able to ride around there, and they would take you out and show you like the reversing falls, and you could stand on this floating deck or dock, as it were. Stand on this floating dock, and you literally could see the dock rising, climbing up the wall as you're standing on it. You literally could see it rising. So the other thing too is there's so much water coming into this harbor area. The buoys are laying over. The water is just literally pushing them sideways. There's whirlpools in like 70 feet deep areas of water. There's such an amount of in and out that the seals are just kind of like hanging out, and the fish are going, and the seals are just scarfing up the fish. And then when the tide turns around, they just turn the other way, and they're waiting for the fish to get flushed out in the other direction. So literally, it's a great place to be if you're like a dolphin or a seal or anybody else like that, because, hey, half the job is done for you. Now, the quirk about that area is geographically, if you look at it, it follows a north-northeast thing, and it funnels down. So what happens is the water pushes up. Before that water can come out, more water pushes up again with the other tides. So it has 2 pushes per day. Before that water can come out, it gets pushed up yet again. So in the process of doing that, it's really pushing a lot of water up there. And when that water stops being pushed, it wants out. So all that water that piled up is heading out. And then it gets piled up again. So geographically, it's one of the few places on the planet that actually can happen. There's other places with high tides, but not like the Bay of Fundy. If you look that thing up, you will be absolutely gobsmacked at what that thing does. Okay, so now to go rounding round. I was on the boat website, the cruise line, and it was like, sorry, we're having an interruption with the internet, this, that, the other thing, because, Amazon stuff has gone. So Amazon stuff went south, and that's why we're not working. Sorry, can't help you because it just went,
Oh man, I shot Marvin in the face. Why the did you do that? Well, I didn't mean to do it. It was an accident.
You dick.
Okay, I don't think he shot Marvin, all right? Stop that.
Fatality.
He didn't shoot Marvin, okay? Stop. Jeez, what's next? Cats on a plane? Anyway, looking at the long and the short, Amazon basically just did something stupid. What happened is they uploaded a, what was it, a patch or something? Service fully restored is the other thing. Hang on a sec. I got it right here, I believe. Let's see. It was a um a technical update. So basically they updated the system and it just went kablooey. Yeah, it just went.
Enough is enough! I have had it with these mother on this mother plane! Everybody strap in! I'm about to open some windows.
Okay, it was not cats on a plane. Oh, Jesus. It was not cats on a plane, sound guy. Not at all. So, essentially what it is they tried to do a product improved version and added an update, and it just went kaplooey. It did not go meow, sound guy. It went,
Sounds like somebody's got a case of the...
Okay, they don't have a case of the row. It just went, there was no cat going, Okay, the cat was not doing that. Stop. Here we go with the cats again. Anyway, so yeah, they did a update on the system and it crashed. Too funny. Too funny. Unbelievable. Let's see. Anybody got anything in the room? Let me see what's going on over here. No, I just got the two guys basically saying, hey, okay. Nobody else said anything in the room. All right, let's see. Anything else jumping out at me? I may do an abbreviated version because, Mrs. Dude is kind of not doing 100%, so I might have to go up and check on her in a little while. Let's see. J.D. Vance is saying if, Gaza doesn't play nice, Israel's not going to play nice either. No apologies on that one. They're just going to, well...
Sounds like somebody's got a case of the Mondays.
Okay, it's going to be more than a case of the Mondays, all right? Critical stop. Okay. Yeah, so somebody's going to have a really bad case of the Mondays crash and burn. Yeah, thanks. Okay. Anyway. Oh, jeez. Let's see. Scrolly. Supposedly, he went to Israel for a 3-day visit. Formal meetings with Benjamin Netanyahu and Isaac Herzog, who's the Israeli president, basically telling the Hamas guys, we're watching what you're doing, and don't get too snarty, or we're going to really just give you what fur. What fur. Completely what fur. Let's see. Scrolly. I really haven't done a lot of updates. I would have thought I would put my stuff in there. Okay, anyway. Let's see if anything else is jumping out at me. I tell you what, I've just been really busy preparing for Mrs. Dude and her sound guy. How would you say the procedure went on Mrs. Dude? They did surgical procedure. It was not a chainsaw. No, you don't get chime. No, you don't get chime. Okay, it was
Death! By...
No.
You're despicable.
Here we go. No, it was a surgical procedure. It was not
Snoo!
It was not snoo. There was no snoo to be had. Stop. There was no snoo. Okay?
No!
Okay, there was no snoo to be had.
Snoo!
Here we go. Anyway, let's see. Scrolly. Scroll, 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 scroll. Scroll, 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 scroll. No, I'm not seeing anything jumping out at me that says, you're gonna talk about this. So I might just cut off a little early. I know it started like kind of like right on the mark. But also, I know I've been like not exactly 100% for like being consistent weekly, okay? I know things are a little bit not so concordant. Oh, I'm using the big words again. Not so concordant. So, okay, I'm sorry in that regard. I will try to be more consistent with doing the podcast weekly, okay? But, you know, sometimes things happen, things get weird, and I just can't. No, I can caca just. Sound guy. I can caca just. Never. He drags me into these things. Truly, he drags me into these things. Why do I let him drag me into these things? I have no flippin' idea, but he does. Okay, he just does. He drags me into these things. Anyway, so I'm gonna call it 10 minutes early. Okay, I hopefully will be more lined up, less ill prepared. Oh. Okay, I guess you really want out, don't you, sound guy? Jeez. All right, folks, so I guess I'm going to break off on this one. Thank you guys for hanging out with me on Tuesday. You got many other things to do, but you decided to hang out with me. Thank you so much for your kind attentions. Good stuff like that there. I will see you guys next week. Good stuff like that. You will get a gold star for attendance. I will see you then. Catch you guys later, and hopefully I'm less discombobulated and a little bit more on track. Sometimes I run over, sometimes I run early, okay? Sorry, I'm running early this time. I'll catch you guys next week. Good stuff like that there. So eat good, keep titering as always. You know you love it. I will see you guys next week. Good stuff on all those accords. See you then. Catch you guys later. See ya. It is.